Now, just because the presidential nominee for the Republican Party has been chosen, that doesn't mean that all Republican primaries are set in stone. These are still very important races going on around the country that is going to define what it means to be a Republican in the years to come. Mm-hmm. And so one state that had a very important, very relevant primary recently was North Carolina. Now, North Carolina was between three somewhat major candidates. Really, there was only one major candidate for this governor race for the Republican primary. It was Mark Robinson at the top, Dale Folwell, and Bill Graham. Now, Mark Robinson ended up winning 66% of the vote. Falwell got 18.5. Total decimation.
Completely wiped him out.
Decimation.
Yeah.
Now, Mark Robinson is the current lieutenant governor of North Carolina, but Mark Robinson carries a lot of baggage, and he is on the furthest right end of the Republican Party that you can be.
Yeah.
We have to really make it clear here. There really isn't much room to go further right than Mark Robinson.
No, he said something. I was reading a quote from him about saying separation of church and state doesn't exist. I checked the Constitution. I checked all of these documents. It's not anywhere. Because there is no separation of church and state.
God, that's a nightmare. That's so like if that gets on the airwaves in every commercial break, normal people are going to look at that and be like, that's fucking weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, how many people in North Carolina are evangelical Protestants, right?
No, there is a huge evangelical Protestant movement in North Carolina. That's for sure.
And as a slight tangent, I will say I looked into where separation of church and state is from, and the actual wording doesn't come up anywhere until a speech in like the mid 1800s. But the idea is from I think a Thomas Jefferson speech that he gave when he was president about how the First Amendment implied government should not be involved in the affairs of religion and thus vice versa.
There you
Just
go.
to clear that up.
Yeah, so Mark Robinson, when you watch this show and learn that, stop saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't wait till he quotes me on that.
I know. I want to run down some things about Mark Robinson, some of his more famous one-liners that I've been able to do some opposition research on him on. Robinson said last month that he would absolutely protect life from conception. We got it down to 12 weeks, he said. The next goal is to get it down to 6 and then just keep moving from there. So, okay, just blatantly no abortion in the state of North Carolina. He totally wants to rid it out of the state. That's his explicit stated goal. So if there's any part of you that believes that a woman should have full control over her body and bodily autonomy, Mark Robinson just is not cohesive to that at all.
Yeah, not to mention if you are a woman who is worried about getting pregnant when you don't want to. This is something that will have a extremely distinct, specific effect on your life.
He also says he's like wants to go back in time to when women couldn't vote, which is a whole other thing. It's a whole because he's like America was better when women couldn't vote, so we don't know if it means like it was better because women couldn't vote, or just saying that America was better when women couldn't vote.
Love that. Fantastic.
Love that. He's also described COVID-19 as a globalist conspiracy to destroy Donald Trump, which is just a classic. I feel like
that is a deep right-wing conspiracy.
Right? That's like when you start getting deep in it.
Yeah.
You know, that's no longer just like the base level stuff. You're like the Fed is a problem. You're going like
you're going to like .net blogs at that point, right?
You're like 2 steps away from QAnon, right? So he has said, referring to transgender and homosexual people, he's referred to them as filth. He has also said people who are gay are equivalent to what the cows leave behind, as well as maggots and flies. So this is like some of the most hateful rhetoric I've seen out of a major party candidate since Donald Trump. No, I'm kidding. But like, this is way worse than Donald Trump.
Way worse.
No, this is way worse.
Like,
than
let's
Trump.
be fair to Trump.
Yeah, be fair.
This is way worse.
Way worse. Yeah. Donald Trump has actually said that this guy is a better orator than Martin Luther King.
I believe you. Hasn't he? He also has criticized black people as like wanting to promote the violence that has kept them like behind the rest of society for so long.
Christ.
Yeah.
So like, we're looking at this. Republicans, what are you doing? Like, the people at the head of the Republican Party must be so mad about who their base is, because they must just be like, why are you picking these losers? Like McConnell, right? Must be, who is stepping down, by the way. But McConnell must be just sitting in his office every day being like, what the hell happened to all of us?
I don't know. Do you think they, I mean, we have evidence that Mitt Romney does care somewhat about this. I think McConnell might not. I think there's a fair share of them that might just be like, hey, we're all on this one side.
Yeah.
Let's pump up this side as much as we can.
Listen, that makes sense. Mitch McConnell did come out and he endorsed Donald Trump right away.
Yep.
The day after. He was like, nope, Donald Trump, you're my man.
Exactly. Even though he's condemned him in the past, especially after January 6th.
Even though he literally said that the criminal court process was where he needed to be punished for January 6th in regards to Trump. He's like, nope, he's the nominee. I support him.
Yeah.
Wild. But I want to go into where the polls are looking in North Carolina because there's some interesting results coming out. So as we know, Joe Biden has been trailing Donald Trump in the national polls for a while. Recently, it's starting to become more even-tied, right? In North Carolina, though, the polls generally have Biden down 2, down 3, down 4.
Okay.
But in all of these polls, Robinson is losing. So in the same poll that has that has Donald Trump beating Joe Biden 51-48, the Democrat Josh Stein leads Robinson 49-47. So there's a good portion of Trump voters that are saying, no, Robinson's too much for me. I'm going Josh Stein.
That's crazy.
Right?
And I would say this is with the context of when we usually see these polls, we see the down ballot Democrats doing better than Biden.
We always see that. Honestly, in every poll I can think of, it's been down ballot Democrat do better than Biden.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I'm thinking about Bob Casey in Pennsylvania. I'm thinking about Rosen over in Nevada. All these guys are doing better than Biden. Gallego in Arizona. So what I really want to get at here is Robinson is Doug Mastriano of 2022, okay? Who's Doug Mastriano? Doug Mastriano was the Republican nominee for Pennsylvania governor in 2022. He was a train wreck. He was a big January 6th guy. He was the hardest right option out of the slew of candidates that ran for governor of Pennsylvania, and he ended up winning the primary because of Trump's endorsement. And when push came to shove, and Pennsylvania Pennsylvania's a swing state. When push came to shove, Pennsylvania selected Josh Shapiro with 56% of the vote, Doug Mastriano 41. Josh Shapiro won by 15 points against Doug Mastriano. In 2022, which is supposed to be the Republican wave year. This is what happens when you nominate crazy people. And we've said this on the show before. Candidates matter. Candidates matter. And if you keep picking bad candidates, if you keep picking Doug Mastrianos,
You pay for it.
you pay for it. And you're going to get these results. And I'm calling it now. Robinson is not going to be governor in North Carolina. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't buy it.
I agree with you.
No, and Biden could come within. I bet you Biden could still lose North Carolina by 3 points, just like this poll says. And Josh Stein, the Democrat, still beats Robinson.
Yeah.
Because Robinson is such a heavy lift to make.
Yes.
All of this opposition research just punneling on the airwaves. Everyone in the state knows he's kind of a whack job unless you're totally bought in.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's so hard to make the argument for him. I'm looking at one quote that he has here about like other dictators. Quote, whether you're talking about Adolf Hitler, whether you're talking about Chairman Mao, whether you're talking about Stalin, whether you're talking about Pol Pot, whether you're talking about Castro in Cuba, or whether you're talking about a dozen other despots all around the globe, it is time for us to get back and start reading some of those quotes. Now, I will say I am pretty sure he was saying this in a context of saying they're worth paying attention to, rather than we need to read those quotes to be scared of what they're saying.
Yeah.
And if that's true, how is that not an automatic disqualification of the guy, right? That is pure insanity.
Yes. I don't understand it. Listen, I don't understand what Republicans see in him. I don't know too much of his economic philosophy. That might be because I've only been seeing his bad stuff, but I think he only says the bad stuff. I don't think he has an economic agenda that I could be studying or looking into. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not the type of politician he is.
No, it's not. He's big on transgender bathroom related things. Which
Yes,
is a weird thing to care about what the genitals are in people's pants all the time. I don't know why that's such a big deal to you, Robinson. So that's what's going on in North Carolina. Now, in Ohio, we've also had a recent primary election that just happened yesterday. So this is more relevant. There were 3 major candidates in this one. Frank LaRose, who's the current Secretary of State, Matt Dolan, who's a state senator, and then Bernie Moreno. Now, Matt Dolan was a big self-funder of his campaign. I'm pretty sure he owns or is related to the baseball team over in Ohio. The Cleveland Braves turned into Cleveland.
No, they were the Cleveland Indians, now the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah, so he changed the name from Cleveland Indians to Cleveland Guardians. The MAGA crowd hit him hard on that for catering to the woke mob. Swear to God.
I believe it.
I just, oh God.
Yeah.
Politics is so serious, people. It really is. And then Bernie Moreno, car salesman. Those are the three candidates that we got for the Ohio Senate on the Republican side. So Matt Dolan. So first of all, I want to say I was wrong. Okay. You go back 3 months from now. I said, don't even look at Matt Dolan. He's going to be gone in a couple weeks. I said that like 3 months ago. I'm like, don't even worry about Matt Dolan. Like, don't even think about him.
Okay.
Like, put him out of your heads. It's going to be between Frank LaRose and Bernie Moreno. I was wrong. Frank LaRose fell out of favor pretty quick after his push for ballot referendum 1 failed, and he was kind of nationally embarrassed. I thought that would at least give him the name recognition to keep him in the running. I was incorrect. Apparently, it did enough damage to him where no one wanted to be associated with him. And that included Republican establishment figures, because literally Matt Dolan only came up the stretch about 2 weeks ago. It was a horse race between LaRose and Moreno for the whole time, and then the last 2 weeks, Dolan starts shooting up. Why? Well, Matt Dolan got the endorsement of the governor, Mike DeWine. He got the endorsement of an outgoing senator, Rob Portman, who was a very moderate Republican. He worked on the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act with Biden and Kyrsten Sinema. And Republicans, MAGA Republicans attacked him on that. They said that Matt Dolan's going to be the next Mitt Romney. They said that Matt Dolan was a sellout, that he was a globalist, and all this other stuff. And they were painting him with all the whatever buzzwords, uniparty language that the MAGA crowd throws at their opposition. And he couldn't break out of that. But the polls showed it tied race between Matt Dolan and Bernie Moreno down the stretch. Tied. And then it was a blowout.
Complete blowout.
Bernie Moreno got 50.5% of the vote. Matt Dolan only got 33%.
Yeah.
Just a blowout. And even in the suburbs, Franklin County, Ohio, if you're into Ohio politics, Franklin County is a very important county. It's one of the major suburban areas. And that's where Matt Dolan was supposed to shine. And he didn't have good margins.
Damn.
Bernie Moreno did fine in the suburbs. That wasn't expected. And so Matt Dolan's night ended pretty quickly. After like the first 3% of the votes coming in, I saw the results from Franklin. I'm like, oh, it's probably done. It's probably done. Something magical would have to happen.
Damn.
And something magical did not happen. So again, this asks the question, what was best for Republicans? What does this mean for the general election? Well, Matt Dolan was obviously the better pick. Pretty much obviously, okay? There's really no getting around it. He had the endorsement of the governor, Mike DeWine, who won his reelection by 20 plus points. Rob Portman won his last election by around 19, 20-something points.
Wow.
Those are the people who were endorsing him.
Wow.
And then Moreno is a trash candidate for a historically swing state like Ohio. It's red tinted now for sure, but it was voting for Obama in 2012. It was voting for Obama in 2008. And, Clinton and whatever. So it's not like it's just a solid red like Nebraska or Idaho, right?
Yeah. And yet, like with a Republican governor and going for Trump in 2020, you would think there's a clear path for the Republican nominee for the Senate to get elected.
Oh, yeah.
And now they're completely putting that in jeopardy.
Completely. So let's go to the polls here, okay? These polls were taken a couple days before the election result, all right? So they polled Sherrod Brown, running as a Democrat incumbent for the senator in Ohio. They polled Brown against all of the possible Republican candidates. So first up, Brown versus Dolan. Brown 45, Dolan 42. Brown up 3. Margin of error, basically tied race, close race, would have to be a horse race. A lot of undecideds, could break either way. Brown versus Moreno. Brown 47, Moreno 36. Brown up 11. Which means that Moreno has a much larger problem with name recognition. And so people need to get to know Moreno. People have to learn about Moreno.
I do wonder if it's not as much of a problem as we might make it out to be, though. Because
maybe.
When it comes to the general, it's going to be more just D versus R.
What really the important number is did Brown hit 50%? And the answer is no, right? Brown is close to 50. So think about the number of undecideds in this poll, right? Brown only has to win a small percentage of them, while Moreno has to win almost all of them. That's really the way I look at these things.
Okay.
If it was like Brown 41, Moreno 36,
Sure.
I'd be more worried.
Okay.
And that lead would tell me nothing.
Okay.
But the fact that he's so close to 50 means there's a viable path. By no means a shoo-in. I wouldn't even say the favorite, to be honest.
Really?
Because Ohio will be voting for Donald Trump. And if Ohio will be voting for Donald Trump, it's going to be hard to split the ticket. That's a hard.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen much in American politics anymore. It's very rare.
It's interesting that you're so confident that Ohio will vote for Trump.
Yeah, I know it is interesting because the exit polls indicated that Haley voters in Ohio aren't voting for Trump. Like half of them won't be voting for Trump.
And based on the ballot referendums that Ohio has had, including the one to enshrine abortion as a right in the state constitution.
No, it's a good point. Ohio might be on the map.
I mean, and yet everything I read says the same thing as what you're saying. Everything I read says Ohio is almost certainly going to go for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this? Like, why? Again, it's like it's kind of this mysterious personality hold that he has, which I'm bad at articulating anymore specifically.
I'll tell you the real answer why Republicans started winning Ohio. The answer is Democrats started losing the union vote.
Okay.
In 2016, the Democrats lost the union vote in Ohio for the first time. And when they started losing the union vote, Democrat can win in Ohio if they don't have the union vote.
Really?
Yeah, so it flipped in 2000 when John Kerry was facing off against Bush, right? I think John Kerry lost Ohio, but he won the union vote like 51-49. It was close.
Okay.
It was close. Then Obama comes in, trounces with the union vote. Obama comes in, trounces. Wait, what did I say?
You said Obama comes in, trounces with the union vote.
Does great with the
Obama
union
comes in, you just said it twice.
Sorry. So 2008, Obama does very well with the union vote. 2012, Obama does very well with the union vote. 2016, Hillary Clinton does not. And it bottoms out. And then it becomes 60-40 pro-Trump.
Does that happen in 2020 as well?
Yeah. 58 or something like that.
What do you think happens in 24 with the union vote?
I don't know, man. It's a hard call.
Maybe 55 instead of 58.
Yeah, but that's not enough to flip Ohio. You
No.
know what I mean? Like it would need to flip back to the 60-40
Yeah.
in order to win Ohio. So I do think Biden will be gaining ground with union voters. I genuinely do. Especially because of J.D. Vance's performance in the last cycle in 2022. J.D. Vance won by 6 percentage points over Tim Ryan in the last Senate election 2022. That's less than what Trump won Ohio by, and it was supposed to be a Republican wave year, which makes me think that Biden could improve on J.D. Vance's numbers a bit. That's what I think. Maybe Joe Biden could, or Tim Ryan's numbers, whatever. Joe Biden might be able to lose Ohio only by 5 instead of by 8. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And that could come from that union vote swing. But we're getting into the weeds here.
Yes, we're
and
getting
I
off
want to
track.
circle back to Moreno and the type of guy he is. And so all these undecideds who are now going to come in and learn about Moreno for the first time, what are they going to be hearing? Well, they're going to hear that he backs a federal abortion ban. I don't know the exact week number he's putting at. I think he was vague on that for the primaries in order to be the furthest right in the primary because he didn't want to be like the moderate guy.
Okay.
He also, this is the classic one I've said about him numerous times, he suggested that white Union soldiers should get reparations for slavery instead of those who were descendants of slaves. He said, where are the reparations for the people in the North who died to save the lives of black people? Which is just a wild thing to say.
It is.
Wild. Disqualifying even.
Crazy.
Unless you're a Republican. Then I
Yeah.
guess you can put that on a bumper sticker. I don't know. I don't know, man.
I don't know either.
But it's just notable because I think the Republicans are going down a path where they have opportunities to get power and they keep nominating freak shows that normal people are just going to look at and be like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Right?
And that's not true across the board. 'Cause
No, not
just
at all.
to be clear, sometimes the freak shows win.
Yeah, sometimes the freak shows win.
Yes.
Sometimes the Republicans don't nominate freak shows.
Yes, but the idea is across the board, on average, the freak shows are going to be losing more than they're going to be winning.
Yeah.
And so they might kind of be sloughing off bits of power, is the idea.
Exactly.